Last year I decided that I was going to K-swap my BMW E30, and over the process of the build, the number one comment that I got was how much was the cost to build this K-swapped E30. To answer your question, it cost a lot of money. My name is Ryan, this is Project Race Car, let's get into it. So this is my 1991 BMW 318IS that I purchased for the right price of $5,000, and since then I've put over $17,000 into this K-Series build and into the chassis. Let's see how I did that. For the simplicity of the video, we are going to be going with the MSRP price. I was able to get a couple sponsors across the lifetime of the build, but I wasn't able to get sponsors on everything. The channel is small, we are still growing, we love you guys. But we weren't able to get everything paid for, so I put a lot of my own money into this car. So let's check out the MSRP price of everything so that we can get a realistic cost. My initial price of the car was $5,000. I bought it completely stock with 281,000 miles on it. The interior was in rough condition. The engine and transmission were all original and very, very dirty. So I started with detailing the car and bought $50 worth of detailing products. I've always been passionate about BMWs, and I've always wanted a BMW E30, so I'm glad that I can be sharing this car with you guys. When I purchased this car, I knew that I was going to do a swap in the future, so I wanted to get all of the chassis stuff out of the way, get the interior done, get the steering and the suspension done, and then focus on the actual swap. So when I first got the car, I decided to do the Condor Speed Shop steering shaft first to get rid of all the sloppy steering. I did a Momo steering wheel hub, an NRG steering wheel, and the common Z3 steering rack upgrade. These few mods were able to make the car steering feel a lot better. It was less disconnected and just felt like I was more in tune with the car and in control of it. With the Z3 steering rack, I also needed to get new tie rods, so I got those. Then we moved on to the ESM wheels that I got 16x8 with a 20mm offset. I also decided to go big and go with BC Racing coilovers. They are the 51mm strut. Since the coilovers are for the E30, they need to be cut and welded into the existing strut. So that is what I did, and I paid a welder $200 to do that. I then bought some nice Falcon summer tires that are 215/45 R16s. While I was disassembling everything, I realized that the brakes were completely shot and absolutely sketchy, so I replaced the brakes. So since the car was a 5-speed and had very loose shifting, I wanted a nice chassis mounted shifter, so I got that from Garagistics, and I needed to upgrade the motor mounts and to upgrade to stiffer transmission mounts. I then pulled out the carpet and dyed it. That was one of my favorite mods because it was so cheap and very easy. A couple months later, I finally decided to get front and rear LC seat covers. Then from Garagistics as well, I bought a DTM E30 wing and color matched spray paint. So at this point in the build, we are not even close to the engine swap, and we have already spent $5,570 on the build, bringing us to a grand total of $10,570 into this E30. As most of you guys know, these projects never end. They only get better. Before breaking down the cost of the K-swap, I want to preface that I opted for higher quality car parts from reputable companies, which tend to be a little bit more money, but I am more than happy to spend extra money on well-built car parts. All the parts that I used on the build will be linked in the description down below. I bought a K24 A2 out of a 2004 TSX for $800. I then bought the 50-degree VTC cam gear, the K20 oil pump, the TF Works Phase 1 swap kit, which includes the engine mounts, the oil pan, and the pickup tube. I found a great deal on a ZF transmission. You don't need the ZF transmission, but I wanted to upgrade because I will be going turbo in the future. I got a great deal for that for $250. I got the K series to ZF adapter plate with the flywheel and release bearing. For the clutch, I decided to go with Clutch Master's FX250 clutch kit. I had to replace the clutch pivot pin and the clutch fork. I also found a great deal on the drive shaft and found that for $150. I bought most of my car parts from Toge Factory as well as K-Power Industries. They are the leading people in K-swap rear-wheel drive platforms, especially in the BMW E30s. For the cooling system, I bought a swivel neck thermostat housing, the rear-wheel drive upper coolant neck, S2000 radiator hoses, and M42 radiator hoses. To get the rear-wheel drive intake manifold to fit, you have to upgrade to the EP idler pulley. You also need to buy the Ireland Engineering Clutch Master cylinder relocation kit. I bought the K-Power Industries rear-wheel drive intake manifold, as well as the 74mm B-Series throttle body. From K-Power Industries, we also got the long tube headers, as well as the K-Power Industries fuel rail. After reading several reviews on Amazon of cheap fuel lines exploding and catching fire, I knew that I wanted to spend the extra money to get a fuel system that I could trust. I started with making my own custom fuel lines from Works. I bought 6 feet of EFI fuel hose and 8-6 AN fittings. This fed into a Fuel Lab pressure regulator. And the injectors, I got OEM Acura RDX 410cc injectors, and in the fuel tank, a Walbro 255 fuel pump. For the ECU, I decided to go with a Link HC20X. It is their standalone plug-and-play for the Honda. To connect the chassis, engine, and ECU together, Wiring Specialties has a solution that is made specifically for the K series in the BMW E30 that utilizes the DC Integra style plug-in that is all plug and play. My engine didn't come with a VTEC solenoid, so I bought that direct from Acura. I then also went to the junkyard to find an alternator, the coil packs, a dipstick, and the Volvo electric power steering, along with a couple miscellaneous items. For the Link ECU, I wasn't able to find a OEM K-Series ECU case, so I bought one from TF Works. Finishing up the build, I decided to weld my own exhaust. I bought 3-inch exhaust piping from Amazon, a 3-inch resonator, and a 3-inch DTM muffler. I bought a Spall fan for $88 and then made my own fan shroud with a sheet of aluminum. I used a piece of the exhaust piping for my intake tube and bolted a KN intake on top of it. So that brings the grand total of the K-swap to $12,285, which may seem like a lot, but there are a couple important things to note. Number one, you can find a ton of deals over the course of your build if you want to do some searching. Number two, K-swaps are more expensive when converting them to rear-wheel drive. And number three, I spent extra money because I'm planning to turbo my car in the near future, so I wanted to upgrade certain systems that you wouldn't normally need to upgrade with this swap. So when adding the K-swap and the original build of the E30, we are at $22,805 for the total cost of the car. For those of you who are interested, I was able to add some deductions for the car. I was able to sell my old engine, transmission, and ECU as a package deal for $1,500. I sold my old drive shaft for $140. I recycled my old catalytic converter for $300. I sold my old rims for $200, bringing my total deductions to $2,140. So obviously this car is not worth $23,000. I will never see that money back, but I will always be able to enjoy the car. I will always be able to drive it and have fun with it and rip it around, and it will keep memories. That's why I'm building this car. That's why we do it. Because of this car, I've been able to post YouTube videos and meet a lot of you guys. I've already met 2 people in public, so shout out to you guys for saying hi to me and recognizing me on the street. I am in the process of figuring out a person to tune this car and get it ripping, and I do want to go to many events this year to meet some of you guys, as well as try to plan out a couple of E30 meets, maybe here in Austin, maybe in a couple different locations. So if you guys are interested in that, make sure to subscribe and comment on this video. But that is going to end it for today's video, and until next time, my name is Ryan. This is Project Race Car. Have an amazing day. Peace.